If you like our content, please like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get alerts when we introduce new videos. In this video, I'll give a short overview of the CommScope Ruckus Unleashed dashboard using a browser user interface. So after setting up your network and attaching to the Unleashed network, you would log into your administration console, and this brings you to the main dashboard. So here we have a number of features. We have Internet, Wi-Fi networks, clients, access points, switches, and admin services. And I'll go through each one of these just very briefly. Notice at the top we have the system name, we have the uptime, and there is a help menu over here. This is very useful if you're trying to find out how to configure something. So for example, setting up Unleashed Network, I could open that up, and it shows me how to unpack and configure the system, use the administration interface, WLAN, and so forth. So that's a very handy feature to have. So the top bar across the top is the internet, and it shows that we are connected using Ethernet port 2, and this would be port 2 of our master AP. This would be the IP address of that master AP, the gateway address, the DNS, and just gives me the status that the internet is connected. So for example, on this port 2, if I wanted to verify that, and I clicked on my access points, and I go to my master AP, and I show my system overview information, and I scroll down, you'll see that this is the Ethernet port status. Port 2 is up, port 1 is down. So that is the master AP, and that is what I'm providing my internet connection on. Next is our Wi-Fi networks. And here we have a summary of the total Wi-Fi networks that we have, and then we have a breakdown on the individual Wi-Fi networks. So under the summary, I can get client information, I can get client status here for the last hour, and I can toggle these on and off. For example, here, if I hit excellent, you'll notice that everything went away, so I have excellent service, and if I had moderate or poor, you could see the percentages of that. It gives me the traffic that I have and so forth. I could show client information, who is attached to that WLAN. If I selected one of those clients, I can show more details about that, can open that up, it gives me the host name, the IP address, all kinds of information on that particular client as well. I could rename that client. So this is a nice feature that we have. So if I say test iPad, notice here that that changed the name of that. I can click on that again, go rename, leave it blank, hit OK, and that'll take it back to what it was before. If I click on a client, I could mark that as a favorite. I could also do some troubleshooting. If I had particular problems with a client, I could put that MAC address, and I could do a connectivity trace. We'll show you how to do this in another video. And then I have another more feature here where I could block a client, I could do a speed test, or I could even delete a client. As you notice here, we have a bar across the bottom. We could scroll over so we can get more information on that particular WLAN. Shows us what AP is assigned to, the signal strength, the authentication method, and so forth. And then if I click on the individual WLANs, it just gives me details for that particular WLAN. Notice on the second one here, the Unleashed 209, that we don't have any clients on that one. Okay, so we'll close that one back up. Next is my client tab, and it breaks this down into wired clients and wireless clients. You'll notice I don't have any wired clients. Wireless clients, I have 5 at this point in time. We got to this from the previous menu. So this is just another way to get to it where we can show details, rename, mark clients, and so forth. Under my access points, this gives me a summary. So it says I have a total of 3 access points. I have a total of 5 clients. And notice that it says that it's a maximum of 120 APs and 10 AP groups that it supports. So it says 3 access points connected, 0 access points disabled. I could show mesh topology if it was enabled, and in this case I do have it enabled, so you can see that this AP is meshed off of this AP up here. I could show client information, I could show events and alarms. If I want to see what's happening with that, those were my events. If I have any particular alarms, I can see that and get my client status for the last hour, and I can toggle which quality that I want to look at. If I click on excellent, it goes away. Traffic for the last 1 hour just shows me what that traffic is, and I could toggle that. So for example, if I click on 2.4 gigahertz, it takes that away. So now I'm only seeing what's on my 5 gig, and vice versa. If I click on my 5 gig, I can only see what's on my 2.4. So at this point, everything's on 5 gig for that particular WLAN. So we'll close that one back up. My next is my switches, And in this case, it gives me a summary, very similar to what the access point does. So I have a total of one ICX switch. It gives me the summary information over here. It says that I have 4 ports that are connected and I have 12 ports available. Gives me a PoE budget over here. So I've used a portion of it and I have 76% budget left over. And if I click on the individual box, I can get more detailed for that. I can show my general information, name, MAC address, and the serial number and the version of the software. Now, this might be important if you have a couple switches and the software version is different. This could be where you could go in and find that information. Gives me the port information and a little bit more detail here. So in this case, I don't have a management port set. Notice here the lightning bolt is, those are the ones that are PoE enabled. I could reset that port if I wanted to. I don't want to do that. So it just gives me a little picture of the ports that are used and that are unused. And then if I scroll down, I can get more detail on the individual ports and some of the traffic that is on those ports as well. So that's a nice little feature. I could get my traffic trend and I could get my LLDP neighbor list as well. I could add a switch. I could edit a switch. So for example, if I wanted to give this device a name and change the name, I could do that. I could remove a switch, or I could do more, or I could do a backup, or I could do a restore of the software on that switch. So this is to be a good thing. Once you've got your network configured, you can go ahead and back up that configuration. So that's my switches. My final thing down here is my admin and services. First is my system information. So it gives me the name, it shows me the system version and so forth. I could set up a preferred master if I wanted to. Right now it's set at no preference, but I could select one of those APs to be a preferred master and a secondary master. And I could disable WLAN service on the master AP. And you can say, well, why would I want to do that? Well, notice here it says if the unleashed network contains 3 or more connected APs, the master AP will not provide the Wi-Fi service. And you can say, well, why is that? Well, that is because the master AP has to perform a number of tasks at once, and it may be useful in some scenarios to reduce the complete load on the master AP. So it's doing application recognition, it's doing troubleshooting, it's doing provisioning, it's doing all these other things. So it's acting as a mini controller here. So if you have multiple APs out there, then it's best to disable the WLAN service on the master AP and give that service to all the member APs. Switch approval, this is another interesting point. I've ticked this so it automatically approves all join requests for switches. If you want to manually approve a switch, then you would untick this box. You could select email server, you could select MS settings, and you could select your different log settings as well. Under services, we can set up AAA services, access control, application recognition. This is a really nice feature here. So I've ticked this box. I've enabled this. I get the applications for the last hour, and I can scroll over this, and it just breaks those out. Or I could do it by port. If I selected that, it shows the application traffic by port. So I'll click on applications, application performance for the last hour, top 10 clients by usage, and so forth. So as you can see, you can get a lot of information out here. And under the administration, I can do preferences, I can do backup and restore. That's a nice feature to have because once you've configured your network, what you want to do is back up that configuration. So if something happens, all you have to do is restore it without having to go back and recreate all your WLANs and if you have specific ACLs or so forth, all that stuff is backed up. I can do an upgrade. So let's say if I'm on 200.7 and I want to upgrade to 200.9, I could do that. Notice here that it says select the firmware version. It says we're up to date, but I could check for updates and I could also do a local upgrade as well. So if I had downloaded a firmware version off the Ruckus site, I could do a local upgrade as well. Diagnostics, I can do various diagnostics if I want to do that. Network connectivity, if I wanted to check my network connectivity, I could put in an IP address and do a ping or a trace. And then under network management, here I could enable SNMP, and I want to just bring one point over here as Unleash Multi-Site Manager. If I'm using the Unleash Multi-Site Manager, if I'm allowing somebody else to manage my network, I would enable this. Now you notice this has been ticked. It has a URL. So this particular site is also being managed by the Unleash Multi-Site Manager. If I wanted to disable that, I could just untick that box. And then on my mobile app, remote management and mobile app notification, I've enabled that. So that enables my mobile app remote management. And if I wanted to get mobile app notification, I could tick that box as well, send an app notification when an alarm is triggered. I might want to do that only if I suspect that I'm getting errors, and when I first set up the network, I don't want to overload my mobile device with a bunch of notifications. So this completes a short overview of the Unleashed dashboard. So as you can see, there's a lot of functions and features, and we have other videos that go into detail on each of these features.